right, guys, welcome back to Latasha Hewitt Homes. Hope you're doing well. On this channel, we talk about all things home. In particular, we're talking about resetting the home's finances for 2025. And this is something that I found to be really pivotal in how successful we are with our finances throughout the year. Last year, I took some time to even document this here on YouTube, the whole process, and having that level of accountability and going through that whole thought process really allowed us to accomplish the majority of our goals that we set for 2024. So why wouldn't I do it for 2025? Because now I've built up this momentum. And that's the thing about getting off to a great start. It's easier to continue it from year after year once you see the success that you've had in the previous year. So if you're interested in seeing some of the money principles that we're going to implement this year, some of the saving strategies, some of our financial goals. All right, guys, we are back. I really think when it comes down to resetting your finances for the year, it's important to start off with setting up some principles that you're going to operate by with your finances. And but it's also easy when you're developing those principles to keep them as simple as possible and as few as possible. And so that's what I did. I set up pretty much 3 or 4 principles that's kind of govern how we manage our finances. The first one is a commitment to no debt. At this point, there's no credit card debt, there's no consumer debt, there's no medical expenses, whereas last year I started off with some of those things, and through setting those goals for 2024, that's no longer the case. So now my word of the year, which I shared in a previous video, is level up. So now it's time to level up. And the only way we're going to level up financially is to have debt as not part of the equation at all, because debt holds you back from moving forward. So that's a principle we're operating by, no debt. And as a result of that, the next principle is to cash flow any of the things that we would like to do. Vacations, cash flow them this year. If we want to do something for the house or any other activity, cash flow it. If we don't have the money for it, we don't buy it. We don't have the money for it, we don't buy it, right? That's the principle. And then automate savings is another principle. And the reason why I put that as a principle is because if you say you want to do something, commit to doing it by putting it in action. And I'll share with you some of the ways I've automated some of our savings so far. And then another principle or governing principle is any side income. I also do real estate, or I also do some freelance writing and other things. The principle I have now is that any side income I get, 75% of it will be saved or invested. Because if I don't live by that principle, I'm not going to be able to accomplish some of the other goals that I have outlined, which I'm about to share with you. So those are the principles that I've set up. You can decide which principles you want to live by in the new year. Excuse me. I know a lot of people are doing the no spend, low spend January, or low spend year, no spend year, which is great. And I'm not in that headspace where that's something I feel like I need to do. I kind of regulate that based on how my budget is flowing week in, week out. But it's always my goal to have a low spend. I'm not spending just for the sake of spending, right? All right, so those are the principles. I also wanted to talk about, since I mentioned spending, what are some things that I want to spend money on this year? I definitely am a follower of Ramit Sethi. He had a Netflix special, How to Be Rich, and I love his podcast on YouTube. And he always talks about having a conscious spending plan. And the reason he feels like that's different than the budget is because you're thinking more consciously about what you want to do versus what you can't do. And so I was thinking about, what do I want to spend my money on in 2025? And the number one thing that came to me is experiences, vacations, travel. So in 2025, that is reflected in the budget and the plan, financial plan. In the summer, my family will be coming along with me on a cruise that actually is something I'm hosting with my job for a portion of the time. And so that's something that we have to cash flow for the family to go. So we're going to be spending money on this. This is the first time for our daughters to be able to go on a cruise. To me, that's so worth it. And so that's where we're putting some of our money towards. Also, this year, 2025, my husband and I will celebrate our 20th wedding anniversary. And I'm really, really excited about that because our daughters are older. By that time, my second daughter will be in boarding school. And one of the traditions we had prior to having children was we would take our annual couples trip or a vacation during our anniversary. And because when we had children, their school and all that stuff, we really didn't have that much flexibility. So I love the fact that this 20th anniversary could kind of jumpstart us picking up that tradition again. And so I am committed to cash flowing an anniversary trip for us in October, saving now so that when the time comes, it's not an issue. So those are the major things I know that we want to spend money on this year. We have some house things that we want to do. Those are nice to haves. And I feel like if there is extra money that comes in from side hustles or whatnot, that will be the next tier of things that we're going to spend money on. Like, I definitely want to do some work in the kitchen with the backsplash and painting and new flooring throughout. Those are nice to haves. And if the money flows the way it needs to flow, that will be next on the list. But what I do plan to spend our money on this year, travel, experiences, and possibly home repair. Those are the priorities for this year. All right, next up, let's talk about savings. What is the straight saving strategy this year? I'm in my mid 40s and I've been heavily thinking about retirement. And the reason I'm thinking about it is I've already told myself I do not want to be one of those people, and no offense to anyone who is this person and that's what they want. But for me, I don't want to work until I'm 70 or in my late 60s. I want to have the option to retire in my early 60s, my late 50s if possible. And the only way that I can do that at this point, at this stage of life, is to be very committed to putting away for my retirement. At my job, I have a 403B, so there is no match. There's no company match. Like a 401k, 403b are usually nonprofits have this. They don't match it, but you can put pre-tax dollars aside. So last year I committed to doing $175 per pay. So that was like $350 per month that was going to the 403b. So this year is level up, right? That's my theme financially and for everything else. So I decided to go up a little bit more, and now I'm going to do $200 per pay. So that's $400 a month that will be going to my 403b for retirement, pre-tax dollars. I think that's one of the best ways to save. The other thing I wanted to do in terms of leveling up last year, I was designating $200 per month to index funds, investment. We use Fidelity, by the way. And I was like, we need to level up. We're leveling up. So I said to this year, we're going to do $250 per month towards those investments. So we went up $50 there as well. And then I had been saving in our emergency fund $300 per month. We're leveling up. So this year we're going to save $350 per month. I would say, going back to the investments, the goal is to get those index funds, those particular index funds, up to $10,000. So that's the goal. And this is one of the ways to get there. The other thing with the emergency savings, my goal last year was to get it to 10,000. Reach that goal. Now the goal for 2025 is to get it to 20. And I do think that once it's at 20, and I did note this in another video, this is what I'm saving. My husband also is contributing to emergency fund. So this doesn't include what's been put aside there. But personally, I wanted to make sure there was 20,000 in the emergency fund for unexpected things that may come up. And I do think that once that 20,000 is there, I'm going to move from saving for emergency fund to moving it towards some other financial interest. which is why it's important to have a plan so that when money comes, you know what's next in the lineup. So I definitely wanted to contribute $350 to savings, going back to emergency savings towards that. And the goal was to reach 20,000. And I'll talk a little bit more about, as a matter of fact, no, let's talk about what I did when it came to savings to see how I'm going to reach that goal. Because it's one thing to just put a dollar amount out there. It's a whole nother thing to come up with a strategy about how you're going to reach it, right? So I was able to reach my goals last year because I created a strategy for it. So I talked about automating savings. So those amounts that I just gave, particularly for the emergency fund, $350 per month, I already calculated if I gave $350 per month at the end of 2025, that would be $4,200 that will come specifically from me automating my savings from my paychecks. But my goal is to get to $20,000. Right now, it's at $12,000. So if you can do some quick math, that shows that adding that $4,000 to that $12,000, let's just say roughly $16,000. That means I'm $4,000 shy of being able to reach my goal. So how am I going to reach a goal of $20,000 if my automated savings amount does not equal what I need to make it? Well, that's where that other piece of any side income, 75% of it will go towards savings, which is this. So this shows me in order to reach this goal, not only do I need to automate savings from my paycheck, but I need to make sure that when I get side money or unexpected money, I know where it's going. And so that helps me be more intentional about reaching my goal. That's how I was able to do it last year. We're going to keep that up this year. And the same thing with Fidelity. I'm automating $250 per month to investment. Right now, the investment is balance is at $5,000. So if I wanted to get it to 10, which means I need to contribute $5,000 this year, I have to do something. $250 per month leaves me with $3,000 in order to reach my goal. I need an additional $2,000. I hope you guys are following. It's a lot of numbers going on here. So also with any side income, I'm going to need to bring in an additional $2,000 in order to be able to meet this goal. And of course, there is interest. That's the other thing about having an emergency fund and a high yield savings account. You do gain interest every month, so that gives you a little push towards your mark. I don't rely on that. I just use it as a nice little cushion. And same thing with investments. You're always hoping that, of course, the interest will kick in and kind of help propel you forward with those goals. But those are the ways with the savings that we want to reach what we're trying to do. Okay. So that's the savings. The other piece of the savings that I added this year is my daughters both have high yield savings accounts that I have designated for them with the funds that they receive, whether it's for Christmas, gifts, or whatnot. And so this year I wanted to start an automatic payment for them. We're starting off small. This is just what I'm contributing from my paychecks, not what they get from other people or what they put in. $25 a month for each of them. I wanted to just kind of continue to build that at a slower pace, but have something consistently growing in there for them because they're teenagers now. Soon they'll be going to college. There'll be other expenses that they need things for. And this is just an area that we can make sure we're putting things aside for them. So that's an additional savings commitment that I have made so far. And all of those things that I've mentioned have already been automated for 2025. So I'm not thinking about it. I'm not talking about it. They are in place. The plan has been activated. And this forces you to kind of stick to what you said your commitments are, but it also helps you kind of rest a little easy knowing that you've put in place what you need to get certain things done. The other thing that I'm going to pick up again this year is sinking funds. And I shared in a previous video that they didn't really work that well for me because I'm not really I don't go to like the ATM or bank kind of gal. But with some of these sinking funds, they can be saved digitally with your savings accounts in different buckets. However, I do think I'm reconsidering that now. I still have my trusty little sinking fund wallet here, which it was a great process, by the way. So I'm realizing, as you saw in a previous video, that needing new tires and oil changes and stuff, a lot of times the car repair stuff would kind of come up and I was like, even though I would have the money kind of set aside, I always put like a little bit of buffer for those type of things in my budget. I said, no, it would be great if I just had a designated car sinking fund. So just to show you guys, this is what it looks like. I had household. This is what I had last year. Household, vacation. I had hair for me and the girls, getting our hair done. I had kids, which I don't think I'm going to use kids in here now because I have that savings account for them already designated. So, but I can't keep this here just to keep a log because there's a budget sheet for you to keep track of how much is in there. But I definitely know that I'm going to add a car. Emergency fund, I never really put anything in that. So I definitely want to maybe move that to the back. I'm trying to see if I have an extra one that I can put car on because, yeah, I'd rather do that with something I'm actively planning to put cash in. So bye-bye emergency fund. The high yield savings account pretty much tracks itself. So I'm just going to take this one off and we're going to replace it with car. Because so we want to be intentional about saving for car maintenance, and things like that, whether it's tires, oil changes, renewal of your license, and all of those other things that comes along with the car. So with that, I have committed to putting aside $200 per month. That's $100 per pay towards my sinking funds. And just to go over what those sinking funds are, it's for my car, hair, get my hair done and the girls' hair done. Gifts as they come up. People have birthdays, special events that you want to give to, putting that aside. Christmas, still putting money aside for Christmas. Did that this past year. Really help out with not really, you know, some people are like, oh my goodness, my budget went crazy for December. Just budgeting throughout the year really helps you not have to go through that and not have to really damage your budget for December. So we're going to save towards Christmas. Personal, we'll put stuff aside for like self-care, like nails, or just things that I want to buy for myself as they come up. Vacation, I told you about the things that I want to do this year. So we need also to plan not just what we're paying to go on the trip, but what we'll need to spend while we're on the trip, and other little things that may come up. So that's going to be one of them. And so those are the sinking funds we're going to use this year. I've designated $200 per month for those sinking funds. And I'll decide how much goes in each as we go along each month. Okay. Wow. I feel like I have covered a lot. But those are pretty much the strategies and the financial reset that we're doing for 2020. I hope this has been helpful. I watch a lot of these because it gives me ideas about what I should be doing with my money. And looking at the strategies helps me to reevaluate what my priorities are. For me, it's saving for retirement, making sure that when I'm ready to stop working, I don't have to continue working just because I need to pay my bills. I want to know that there's a nice nest egg growing. I also want to have more experiences, but I don't want to go into debt for them. So committing to budgeting and paying for things for cash monthly as opposed to putting things on a credit card. Or I should say, like for travel and stuff, I do use the credit card, but I pay it off at the end of the month so that there's no balance. And so this has really helped us to stay focused on retirement, saving, and also growing investments and things of that nature. So that's what we're doing to reset for the new year. And part of that process meant going in, automating all of those changes that I mentioned to you, looking at the budget. Oh, that's the part. Before I go, I want to share with you guys that this was what I used last year. This was a little bit more detailed. And I realized that I can still utilize this because I didn't utilize all the pages. I love the trackers in here, the savings trackers. That really motivated me every month to be able to go in and see how much I was saving. And I was always pumped to say, all right, New Balance is this. And so because there's some extra pages, I'm going to use the same book to track. But in terms of my bi-weekly budgeting, which is what I will be doing, I will be utilizing this. And so I've already budgeted for my January 15th pay. And usually I budget at least a couple of weeks as soon as I get paid, I budget for the next time as well. And so now that I am done with January 15th, I probably will go ahead and start my January 30th budget coming up soon, because it really kind of helps. I don't even know how people function without having a plan for your money. Like I don't, it doesn't make me comfortable. Since I've been doing this, I feel like I really had a handle on where my money is going, what I need to move around to make certain things work. And it's just awesome. Like, for instance, let me give you for instance, during this time of the year with the heat and the lights and all that stuff going on in the house, the electric bill was like over $300. And I'm just kind of like, turn all the lights on. But at the same time, I just went back to my budget, because typically it was like 150, So when something doubles like that, something else has to give if you're doing a zero-based budget, which is what I try to do for the most part. So it caused me to have to go in and move some things around and take some from here, take some from there to make sure that the budget was still balanced. And so this is why it's so important to track things like this and have a plan, so you know what to anticipate before it gets there, and you know how to navigate, right? So if I were going to give some tips to anyone who is just starting out with budgeting, don't get overwhelmed by the process. Just find the tools that will help you be most effective, and work those tools. And I'm here. I like to help people with this kind of thing, although I don't really do that because, finances tend to be a pretty personal thing. This is why I'm just coming on here and sharing, so that maybe if you've heard something that I've said that can help you navigate your financial journey, then it's a win-win, right? So I will try to, and this is more of an accountability piece for me, continue with some financial planning and content with my channel going forward in 2020. I don't know if this is going to be weekly or monthly, but we will do some little check-ins, financial check-ins with how we're doing with our goals, how the principles are working out, if we're keeping up with the sinking funds. We'll do some of that. But this is how we reset our finances for 2025. If you have any questions or suggestions or things you want to let me know you're doing, please share with me in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. But if not, just like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.